What is going on? I want to thank you for coming by to Vape with the Viking. So today I got this kind of interesting little RTA. It's a dual purpose RTA, which one was given to me by a subscriber who wants to remain anonymous. So shout out to who you are. You know who you are for sending me this. And before anybody asks, no, it wasn't CM. So what I got for you today is the Aromatizer RTA that is not focusing today for some reason. Okay, you know what it is. You know what it looks like. It's a pretty unique little RTA. And because somebody did send this to me for the purpose of this review, I was actually not aware it was coming, and I had purchased one. So, because I was really interested, I love Steamcrave products. So, this one was priced right because it is getting to the point of discontinued because they do have a new version coming out. But, kind of neat thing with this is since I bought one and then I was given one, this one is a little bit older. It's like one of their first runs. And I emailed them because the one that I bought was a little different and it was from a credible site. So, I'm like, oh, why do we have differences here? So I can also show you the difference between an original run, a upgraded or improved run, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the new version 1.5, or excuse me, not version 1.5, but version 2 that is coming out. It's on their website. It's not released that I've seen, but there are some cons to this. And the neat thing is looking at their website, some of the cons have actually been alleviated by the version 2 that is coming out. So, but before we get into it and dive down, put two builds in it, because I will do a direct lung build and a mouth lung build, and you'll get to see those. We're going to get on to Viking's Advocacy Minute as usual. I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm back and I'm ready to tell you what is up. So, if you know, I have taken a bit of a break. A lot of that's been due to some personal issues, but also vaping is so under attack right now. The whole industry, especially in the US, you know, of course, October, South Australia, they got their full on bans that have come into full effect now. You know, South Africa has issues. Even New Zealand, surprisingly, is halfway under attack as well. We all thought that place was good. So, literally, the only place to underground railroad or run to get away from all of this is still UK. If you watched the Rising Vapor show, we actually had Richard from Nameless Modco, which is a mech manufacturer out of the UK, come and talk with us and kind of how they went through their growing pains of restrictions and how they went through it, and they've came out on the other end better. You know, definitely not free Wild West ranging of it, but they do have restrictions into place, but they're very reasonable restrictions. So hopefully we can either get our government to, you know, maybe go ahead and do some of the things they want to do, you know, different legislations, different restrictions, so on and so forth, regulations, that's the word I was looking for, but not go overboard, not just banning. That's stupid. But as you'll see over here, I will have probably up here for a really long time until they tell me to take it down. These are the numbers to the White House. You can get into their switchboard, or you can also get onto their comment line. Please call if you can once a week. You know, it's one of those things I tell you, you don't have to be involved, but be informed. Now's the time. Information is going to make you get involved. If you are not involved by this time and with what we are going through right now, I'm not going to say anything bad about you, but I'm just going to be like, why not? Just give me a legitimate reason why not. So, but I'll get off that soapbox. You get to hear it everywhere now. So, but let's get back to what we are talking about, which is this dual purpose RTA by Steamcrave. So, you ready? I'm ready. Let's drop the hammer on the aromatizer.
All right, so what I have for you today is the Aromatizer Lite RTA by Steamcrave. This is a restricted direct lung and MTL all-in-one flavor chasing single coil. So before we get really started on this, I do have two of them. Shout out to a subscriber that actually sent me this, and the day before they got out in the mail, I went ahead and bought one. So I do have the black one set up in a direct lung fashion on the jack rear there. And then this one is going to be gunmetal, which we will set up as MTL with some K-Coils MTL Alien there. So we'll definitely give that a shot. So on the box you're going to have on the front, of course, all that. Then Steamcrave, designed by BJ. Then your color configuration on this side. So you do have gunmetal, black, and stainless. Steamcrave's website. Some more Steamcrave stuff. And then on the back you're going to have your UPC, your scratch and check authenticity, and then some tips right there. And then on the inside, it's going to come in a normal Steamcrave fashion, where it's got that little magnetic box, and then you got your felt going on. And one thing I've always liked about Steamcrave, I wouldn't say always, I'm kind of new to them and I'm really digging them, is they always give you 2 spare glasses and then a bubble. So of course in the box you're going to get your 2 spare glass, your straight, and your bubble. You're going to get a tri-tool, which any dual O-ring 510 will work, which the O-rings are off on that one. They're actually laying in the box. Then you'll get a bag of all your deck screws and all your extra O-rings, all the spares you would ever need. And then here's the device itself. So as you'll see, it does have a kind of different airflow system. You do have your airflow wide open here, so that's the way you would want it in direct lung. I've even actually taken and cut it down here for direct lung, but it has an arrow to show you where your airflow is. So, and then there's your airflow for your mouth to lung. Then on the outside you have Aromatizer Lite. This is more of your direct lung drip tip. And then on the bottom you have designed by BJ and your serial number. And this does have an interesting little deck here. So what you do is you can pull this guy off, but then your build deck's actually still down in there. And if you look on the inside, this really reminds me of kind of almost like the Asgard with the Ultim chamber reducer or condenser. Kind of same thing going on here. It does have a full twist to open top cap. Pretty decent size kidney fill shape fill tubes there, and then just grab the bottom here, and that opens that guy up there. Your threaded top, your silicone O-ring, your straight glass there. Now the one thing I did notice, I don't know if there were different versions or how that worked, but on this black one, let's see if we can get that to look better. You'll see there's 3 holes when it comes to the mouth to lung, where this one only has the 2. And I also noticed that with this one as well, there was no arrow pointing up to where the airflow actually is on either side. So I would imagine that this is an early run, a V1, something. This is, I think the gunmetal is just something that's updated, where, you know, shows the airflow, cut down the options of mouth to lung airflow, which, looking at it, you have the bigger, probably 2 millimeter, and then it goes to probably 1.5, and then 1, or actually probably 2, 1, and then maybe a half, somewhere around in there. They actually took out the larger option. So I don't know, might have to see if Steamcrave will even contact me back if I ask them about that. But if you know, throw down in the comments, hey, this is what happened. So that way I'd be in the know as well. Now on the space deck here, you do have an O-ring that secures it on there, so it will stay in place. Just give it a good push there, and it works just fine. And once you get that secure down in there, you can use this to build on, or you could even take it out of that bottom and build on there as well. So this is a like postless style deck configuration. So it is going to work a little differently than usual, which I will take. This is kind of a nice thing. The way they built this is you can actually take this out without worrying about losing your juice. And there we go. So that right there, ooh, need to change cotton. That's how I built the direct to lung. But one leg in there, one leg in there, and you're good. And I put cut it right at about 5 millimeters, and that worked just fine. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put a build in here, put the K-Coils mount the lung in there, and of course for mount the lung, I do use some soft mints.
All right, we are back up with the Aromatizer Lite version 1 and 1.5, and version 2 is coming out. So, all right, so some specs to kind of get into it is you're going to look at, this is a 23 millimeter RTA. You do have just a ton of airflow options, and it's 10 1 millimeter holes in that big section there. Now, if they stated, and I think it's just because a little bit of the restrictiveness, when you have it fully open, it's 9x3. When you use the slot, when you turn it like that, and yeah, you can kind of see it there. There you go. It is 9x1 millimeter. And then you do have MTL airflow, which is, with this one being a first one, there were 3 holes. You can probably see better in a dive down, but there's 3 holes there. It's 2 millimeter, 1.5, and 1. The new version, or I should say newer, was only 2 holes in it. And the gunmetal, kind of see it a little bit better. Let me cover my face. But it is a 1.5 and a 1 millimeter hole, and it does have the arrow indicator to show you which one you are selected on. So that's pretty neat. Kind of a little information on the new Aromatizer Lite V2 that will be coming out. It will have a chimney adapter, and it will have a air insert to actually go into the big slot there, that big oval. It'll actually have like a peak, looks like a peak insulator, which you've seen on some RDAs, like small 22 millimeter RDAs, like the Berserker V2 has the little peak, little push-in air selectors. This one will fit directly in there where it looks. Like I said, I don't have it, and the website wasn't really informative. It just shows that it's in there, and it shows 2, I think 1 millimeter holes in there. I think it's two 1 millimeter holes. But you can definitely tell it is a peak material like you've seen in some higher end RDAs, smaller like 22 millimeters. So pros on this. I like the fact that it does hold 3.5 mils right out the gate. And if you put in the bubble glass, it holds 4.5. It has a very kind of restrictive hit to it, which I kind of like on single coil stuff. On the when you make it into that big airflow, it's nice, it's smooth, it hits well. I'm running some Gorilla Fruits, the wild berry in it, and it works really well. Being single coil, nothing big, powerful, running roughly about 40 to 50 watts. I got one of K Coil's aliens in here running at a 0.22. And it vapes really well. I'll show you that here. It does really good. One of probably, well, we'll keep on pros. Pros, I like how you can literally take and turn this thing upside down, undo the bottom, and normally, depending on how juicy it is, that O-ring will sometimes catch it, and you can pull the whole build deck out without losing any of your juice. The build deck is really easy, simple, open to build on. Side flow, little side mount, postless deck design on there. Wicking is super, super easy. Just a lot of pros on it. And one I thought was going to be a very good pro on it, but we'll get into cons in a bit, is that deck on the inside, or that chimney, which you probably saw better on the dive down. It really reminded me how it goes in and how it gets surrounded by that block, that it just really reminded me of the first thing I thought of was, wow, Asgard, which, I'm a huge Asgard fan. I use the mini 25 millimeter and the bigger 30 millimeter. And those guys produce some pretty amazing flavors. They will probably be my top RDA of the year, probably hands down. The stuff's came close, but I don't know. Those things, I use them every single day, both sizes too. So when I got this, I was like, wow, that really reminds me of a holodeck like that with, the chamber condenser. I was like, oh, I am so excited. But sadly, we'll get to the cons, in my opinion. I almost said pros again. So cons for me is the one that'll be for pretty much anybody, is if you do close that airflow down to the slot, it gets loud. I mean, loud. Here you go. So I will open it to the big opening, the way I was vaping it, and you can hear it. You can hear it. It's not loud by any means, but you can definitely hear the airflow coming in, because it's actually a decent amount of airflow for a restricted direct lung hit. Now, when you close it down to the slot, though, I'm actually drawing less air, and it almost gets a whistle, but it's pretty darn loud. So even when you're vaping on it, just in case, still in the slot there, which is a bummer, because when you do put it down, at least on this build, put it down to that slot, that flavor increases like threefold easily. Now, open it back up to the big slots. Same draw, just not as loud. There is no almost whistle to it. You can still hear the crackling of the coil. It just kind of kills the flavor a little bit. So, and I've played around with it enough that you can take and close off the big airflow like that, but then you get the whistle. Now it's a whistle. So that's the only big con I really have, is the airflow. The way to get, in my opinion, and with my builds, the best flavor is that slot for direct lung, is that slot, but it just makes it super, super, super noisy. And probably it's probably my biggest con, is it does direct lung pretty good. It does mouth the lung well. It's one of those devices that I know, like the damn Vape Frisia was one of those that when they first started doing like a dual purpose RTA, everybody's like, you can't do both great. There's no way. They're both going to be good. Well, the only one that I know of that I've heard about and seen that has done both above average is the damn Vape Frisia. I've never tried it, but heard lots and lots about it. This one, I've heard a lot of people say It's good in restricted direct lung, not so much mouth to lung. But when I saw and asked what kind of builds they were doing, all they were doing was closing airflow down, using the same coil, and maybe using the smaller drip tip. I, on the other hand, went with a straight mouth to lung coil, used the correct airflow, used the different mouthpiece. The mouth to lung experience it was good. I've had way worse, but I've also had at least a half dozen way better, but it wasn't dual purpose. So, what I would say for this, if you are looking to grab one, maybe wait for the V2 to come out. That actually might help. Or two, if you're looking for a single coil RTA, this thing is like 25, $30, and it's even going lower in some places because the fact that it is being replaced. But it's Steamcrave. Steamcrave makes great products. The finish, the fit, the feel, the machining was great. If you could deal with that airflow, this is a really good single coil RTA to get, especially on a budget. So, with that being said, again, final thoughts on it. If you want a dual purpose, I would definitely recommend. I would like to say I would recommend the damn Vape Frisia. Yet I have not tried it, but I would probably wait if you want the dual purpose and going to use it for dual purpose. Wait for the V2. It might be just a touch bit better, like I said, with that chimney, and then that insert might help that guy out. So, but overall, still a good device, just not a great device. I think if they would have concentrated on just the restrictive direct lung hit, this thing could have been pretty badass. But when you're trying to juggle two different functions on one device, they both tend to just kind of hit the middle of the ground mark. So, but again, single coil, 50 watts. Been using it pretty much for several hours today. I'm at 80% battery life. So that is definitely another pro on that one. But that is all I have today for the Aromatizer Lite by Steamcrave. So I want to thank each and every one of you yet again for coming by to Vape with a Viking. And I'll check you later.